This conference will now be recorded.
Am I audible to everyone? వినిపిస్తుందా?
Yes, ma'am.
So today you are going to have two practicals. One is from 10:30 onwards and the other starts at 11:30 or 11:15. So I'm going to say hydatiform mole, and the next practical is about adenomatous polyp. So coming to molar pregnancy. So hydatiform mole is a kind of a pregnancy in which the HCG level rises, but it's not a true pregnancy. So what is a hydatiform mole? The typical hydatiform mole is a voluminous mass of swollen, sometimes cystically dilated chorionic villi, appearing grossly as grape-like vesicles or grape-like structures. Varying amounts of normal to highly atypical chorionic epithelium cover the swollen villi. There are two distinctive subtypes of hydatiform moles. They are complete mole and the partial mole. So, how a hydatiform mole is formed? See, the normal fertilization is it's a fusion between the egg and sperm. So in a hydatiform mole, what happens is the sperm will be diploid, not a haploid sperm. So diploid sperm will, so the formed embryo or whatever it is, it will have a major number of paternal chromosomes when compared to a maternal chromosome. So coming to, as previously said, the both types results from an abnormal fertilization with an excess of paternal genetic material. So coming to a complete mole. In a complete mole, the entire genetic content is supplied by two spermatozoa or from a single diploid sperm, yielding diploid cells containing only paternal chromosome. That means in a complete mole, the diploid sperm will fertilize an empty ovum. So it will have a configuration of 46XY, but still it is a molar pregnancy because of the empty ovum. But in a partial mole, a normal egg is fertilized by two spermatozoa or a diploid sperm, resulting in a triploid karyotype with a preponderance of paternal genes. So coming to the comparison between complete mole and partial mole, the karyotype of complete mole is 46XX or 46XY. See, this 46XX because of the two haploid sperms, or this 46XY is because of a complete diploid sperm. But the karyotype of partial mole is 69XXY because of a haploid ovum and a diploid sperm. So coming how the villi will be present in a complete mole. All villi will be present. But in partial mole, there are only some villi. And coming to trophoblastic proliferation in a complete mole, the trophoblast proliferation is diffuse and it is circumferential. But in a partial mole, it is focal and slight proliferation of the trophoblast. The serum HCG levels are very much high in complete mole when compared to partial mole. But in overall molar pregnancy, the serum HCG levels are markedly raised when compared to a normal pregnancy. So the risk of subsequent choriocarcinoma in a complete mole is 2%. In a partial mole, it is really rare. See why the name is partial mole? Because morphologically you can see some grape-like vesicles and some fetal parts in a partial mole. But in complete molar pregnancy, there will be no fetal parts. There are only swollen villi which represent the grape-like vesicles. So in complete mole, you can see complete grape-like vesicles with absence of fetal parts. The incidence of molar pregnancy is higher in Asian countries. Moles are most common before if the women age is less than 20 years or the age is more than 40 years at the time of conception. There are high chances of molar pregnancy. And if there is any previous history of molar pregnancy, there is a increased risk of molar pregnancy in further pregnancies. So during investigation for the gestation, the uterus will be too large for the dates because there is high proliferation of the villi and they are swollen as they occupy the entire uterus. So it will be like more, I mean it will be like large when compared to the gestational age. In both complete and partial moles, elevation of HCG in the maternal blood and absence of fetal sounds are typical. In advanced cases, the uterine cavity is expanded by a delicate, friable mass of thin-walled, translucent, cystic-like structures, which will be reported like this in the ultrasound. Fetal parts are rarely seen in complete moles, but are common in partial moles, as I previously said. That's the name. It came as partial mole. See, in partial mole, there will be fetal parts along with the grape-like vesicles. But in complete mole, there will be only grape-like vesicles. So on histopathology, you will see that it's syncytial trophoblast, cytotrophoblast, but morphologically, the formation of fetus is very much rare in a complete mole. So on microscopic examination, the complete mole show hydrophic swelling of poorly vascularized chorionic villi with a loose myxomatous edematous stroma. The chorionic epithelium typically show a proliferation of both cytotrophoblast and syncytial trophoblast. Histological grading to predict the clinical outcome of moles has been supplanted by monitoring the levels of HCG levels. In partial moles, villus edema involves only a subset of villi and the trophoblast proliferation is focal and slight. In most cases of partial mole, some fetal cells are present, ranging from fetal red cells in placental villi to, in rare cases, a fully formed fetus. These grape-like vesicles are nothing but the proliferation of the villi. So, in a partial mole, you will see the fetal parts along with the vesicles. I mean, like grape-like translucent vesicles. So, what is an invasive mole? So, it's an entity of complete mole. So, invasive moles are complete moles that are locally invasive, but they lack a metastatic potential of choriocarcinoma. So, within the uterus, they invade the uterine wall. But what happens when it in a choriocarcinoma, there will be metastasis. You can see the mets in lungs and somewhere else. So that's the difference between invasive mole and a chorionic carcinoma. Invasive mole acts as malignancy within the uterus itself only. So an invasive mole retains hydrophic villi which penetrate the uterine wall deeply, possibly causing rupture and sometimes life-threatening hemorrhage. So, on microscopic examination, the epithelia of the villi show atypical changes because as it is a local malignancy, there will be atypia with proliferation of both trophoblastic and syncytial trophoblastic components. Despite of the marked invasiveness of the lesions, metastasis do not occur. That's the main difference between invasive mole and choriocarcinoma. Hydrophic villi may embolize to distant because of the see, once it deeply invades the uterine wall, it may enter the uterine vasculature. So it may enter the uterine artery or it may enter the veins which drain the uterus. So they may embolize. They do not metastasis. They embolize to distant organs such as lungs, brains. But these emboli do not behave like true mets. So once they embolize there, they regress spontaneously. They do not form any other growth over there, which is quite evident in choriocarcinoma. In choriocarcinoma, once this emboli reaches a lung or a brain, they will metastasize. They will grow in size. They will form a newly formed mets over there. So that's the main difference between an invasive mole and a choriocarcinoma. Hydrophic villi may embolize to distant organs such as lungs or brain, but these emboli do not behave like true metastasis and may regress spontaneously. Because of the deeper invasion into the myometrium, an invasive mole is difficult to remove completely by curetage. So, if the beta HCG, which is the serum HCG, remains elevated even after the curettage, so further treatment is required. In most cases, cure is possible with chemotherapy because as they invade completely the uterine wall, we have to give sessions of chemo based in correlation with the levels of HCG levels for the treatment. So this is the specimen we have in our lab. This is a complete mole. See here, there are no fetal parts, only small round vesicles you have been seeing here. So this is a complete mole. This is also a complete mole. All these are grape-like vesicles, round one. Nothing but they are swollen villi. So this is the histopathology. On the left side of the corner, you are seeing that's the hydrophic part, and the rest is these AA, AAA, one are the trophoblasts. So this is the diagram. You should take a screenshot and you should draw in your records. The central pale one is the hydrophic villus core, and the multinucleated one is the syncytial trophoblast, and the single one is the trophoblastic proliferation you are seeing on the top, and the single one. See, a syncytial trophoblast is a multinucleated cell, a cytotrophoblast is a single nucleated cell. That's how you have to differentiate a syncytial trophoblast and the cytotrophoblast. So take a screenshot of it and draw on your records. So finally, in concluding, so what you have to notice in the microscopy. Microscopically, the characteristic features are as under, that is the absence of identifiable villi, masses and columns of highly anaplastic and bizarre cytotrophoblast and syncytial trophoblast, these which are intermixed, and there is invariable presence of hemorrhages and necrosis. Invasion of the underlying myometrium and other structures, blood vessels and lymphatics, which is seen in invasive mole. That's it. Thank you.